Hey guys, Banana Luck here. Welcome back to another Water Realms video. You can see we're back on the test server again today, and before Rosalia and Pia even arrives, we actually have yet another new hero, and no surprise, we get yet another cultist. So they're really setting this faction up to be one of the better factions. Don't know when that'll happen to Infernal, but Knight Arlott could be the next unit that brings forth the Infernal Age, because he is part cultist and Infernal, and he is a tank, which we currently actually do not have any like good Infernal tanks. If we just have a look here, yeah, it's basically Orim and Titus. Now, Titus is great, but I'm very sure having a dedicated defender like Knight Arlott would definitely be way better, especially for faction trials. Alright, so let's look at his stats first. 29k HP, that's not the highest in the game for sure, but he has a pretty interesting range. It's sort of a cone shape, just a tad shorter than Zilitu's. Very low attack, that's to be expected. And 2.6 second attack interval, that's a bit high, a bit lower than usual, which is good. And the rest are pretty usual stats. And you can see here, strong crowd control, high block, and durability, so we're expecting this guy to tank quite a bit. Now, his talent, when deployed, creates Soulbound Purgatory around the hero, so I believe that will be in his attack range, and then inflicts condemnation to that enemy with the highest HP within Soulbound Purgatory, so it needs to be within his range. And what happens? When other enemies within Soulbound Purgatory take damage, the enemy with condemnation also takes damage equal to 15% of that damage, up to 500% of his own HP, and it is undispellable, and it cannot coexist with Chain of Fate. Now, if you're not familiar with what Chain of Fate is, it's basically from Pope's Ultimate, where they will share damage. So the damage here is 50% true damage to from the inflicted damage from the enemy, any of the enemies. So now they have updated it as well. It cannot coexist with condemnation, which is Knight Arlott's skill over here. And you'll notice that the amount here is slightly lower than what we have on Predators. So Predators is 50% in true damage. This is 15% and up to 500% of max HP. Now, the thing is that over here it states very clearly that when other enemies take damage, all the enemies with condemnation also take damage. So that means that this is not limited to just 3 targets. We could be seeing this with 5 targets and all of them taking damage. The main target will basically take 75% of that damage. So I think it's a lot stronger depending on where you see it. And I think he, in a sense, will also buff heroes that are doing AoE damage. So if let's say you pair him with say like Azure for the backlines, then you'll definitely see very big numbers coming out. So I think that's where we'll probably see him used. And the hero continuously inflicts burning of 5 seconds on enemies within Soulbound Purgatory, so you can see lots of effects from just the talent alone. Now, passive, 120% magic damage to one enemy target. That's to be expected. And then the first passive, Forsaken Vows. Every 15 seconds, the next basic attack does 250% AoE damage up to 5 enemies. It inflicts a stun of 2 seconds, and when the remaining cooldown is more than 5 seconds, each time the hero restores HP, reduces the cooldown by 1.5 seconds. So it means that the more small heals that he does to himself, the more you can start chaining up the stuns, and we'll need to see how consistent this is, because it is a 2-second stun. We can't expect it to be always up, but I think in cases where like you meet the Baron boss and you need someone to actually like store things, I think Knight Arlott could be the unit for it, given that he has stun in his kit. And yeah, I think the Purgatory also does help quite a fair bit in just clearing out the waves. And then last passive, when every 4 seconds, deals 250% damage up to 8 enemies within Soulbound Purgatory and deals 2%, restores 2% of max HP to the hero for every one enemy hit. So this synergizes with this. And each time he restores HP, he reduces the cooldown. So if let's say each enemy is a separate stack, so every 4 attacks like this will just drop the cooldown by 6 seconds. Sorry. Potentially 8 times 1.5, that could be... My math is just not working. 3 times 4, 12 seconds. So if let's say we remove the limiter, then it will be 9 seconds of reduction. And yeah, I think that's just crazy. And restoration amount increases by 10% for every stack of burning, up to 100% increase. So yeah, this passive already does burning. This one doesn't do burning, so I guess the ultimate will do more to be able to hit that 100% increase. Now, ultimate, when activated, increases the range of Soulbound Purgatory. You can see that it becomes, I think this is the alien maxed out heal range, if I'm not wrong. Or is this Rivenhall's range? And increases block by 2. And based on the numbers of enemies inflicted with burning in range, inflicts an equal amount of burning up to on the target with condemnation. So that means the main target is going to get a crap ton of burning, up to 5 stacks, and then pulls up to 5 ground enemies in range, dealing 400% AoE damage and inflicting stun. And this stun is going to be for 3 seconds. And within 15 seconds of the duration, gains unyielding for 5 seconds upon taking fatal damage for the first time. So it means that if during his ultimate he takes fatal damage from the extra block, he's just gonna go into unyielding for 5 seconds, and I think that's just very neat. So default block is 3. We get 1 extra from... one extra from Bastion Ring, and then 2 from this. Am I saying it correctly? Let me just compare to a not maxed out Knight Arlott. Yeah, okay. So by default, he has... Oh, he has 4 block by default. Okay, now that's interesting. Was I always under the impression that it's 3 block? Yeah, it's 3 block. So Knight Arlott, that's 4 block. I don't know how we missed that, but that's a big deal, because in the death notes they were saying that this guy has 7 block, and I was wondering how that worked out. So this guy has 2 blocks extra from his ultimate. His default block is 4, and then with his with the Bastion Ring artifact, he's gonna get 7 block. That's just ridiculous. It makes him an even stronger contender for, you know, the Baron bosses in Malrik's, especially after reading all that. Now, he does not scale with HP, so that's kind of disappointing, because if he scaled with HP, I think he has really good potential to be dealing some damage on his own. But with his base attack at only 2.7k, I'm not expecting too much. But I think what we should focus on is the fact that condemnation looks like, you know, it actually affects all damage that is dealt to the unit with the highest HP. It doesn't matter whether Knight Arlott is the one dealing the damage. No matter who does it, they're all going to share the damage. So I think that's what makes him such a great unit, especially from what we're seeing right now. Okay, so I've confirmed he has no exclusive artifact. I mean, normally if he has one, they'll send it to us. But based on the fact that I don't see any here, I would assume that, yeah, he has no exclusive. So let's look at his awakenings. A1, Soulbound Purgatory inflicts vulnerability on enemies within it. That's very nice. 20% as well. So he is going to be a biz in Malrik for sure. A2 is flat HP. A3, when Nether Flame Curse hits the enemy with condemnation, triggers 3 extra times of damage and HP restoration effect. So this is the last passive that we're looking at earlier. When it hits the enemy with condemnation, triggers 3 extra times of damage and HP restoration effect. I think what this helps is that when there's less than like 8 enemies, so maybe you only have 1 enemy in range, I think he's still going to be able to inflict the stance and the control that he needs. He's not going to have to rely on having multiple units in the field to be able to deal with that. So I think that's nice. A4 is damage reduction, that's very standard, and A5 during the ultimate increases Condemnation's damage to 30%. So instead of taking damage equal to 15% of the damage taken by the main unit, it's gonna go up to 30. Now, I don't think he actually needs any awakenings to do the tanking that he needs to do. Maybe A3 can be helpful, but from the looks of it, it looks like he's ready to go even at A0, which is always a welcoming sight. And we have to bear in mind that this guy is also probably a normal unit that you can pull from, you know, rare summoning crystals, and that's gonna be great because we don't want that many units that are ancient exclusive. This guy doesn't look to be that case. Now, design-wise, he looks amazing as well, and I think the 4 blocks is what is currently throwing me off at the moment. I think the only unit that does that, I forgot if Vlad Dracula, that's the same thing. No, it's only 3 blocks, it's just that with his ultimate, he gains 2 extra blocks, and then his exclusive also gives him extra blocks. So I think that's like the first unit that we've seen that will have 4 block by default, and that's just crazy. So yeah, we're gonna be doing quite a fair bit of testing on him. Obviously, you want to see where he can actually work out. We're gonna test him obviously in multiple areas. He potentially has use in Abyss because this guy actually does burning. So the more burning that he stacks up, I think the more damage Sokadins actually does. The thing is that he also has Unyielding, which is activated with the ultimate. So if you use his ultimate right before the Meteoric Deluge, I think he can survive as well. So that's one of the places that we're going to test him out in. And I'm also going to test him out in Malrik's. I'm not sure if there's any other place that we could potentially explore him, but yeah, this guy is looking pretty good at the moment. So let's get back right into the testing, and yeah. Alright, so the first place we're going to test out Knight Arlott is going to be for Abyss, and obviously this is the best place to try him out because we have never had a proper Infernal tank, and given the fact that he gets Unyielding every time he pops his ultimate, it makes him a very suitable candidate for Abyss, where every magic Meteor Deluge units tend to die, but with him in the mix, I think that would be less likely. So that's the team that we're running. So the conventional Infernal team along with Knight Arlott, and then we're gonna go with the usual Nightmare Abyss team on the other side, just so that, you know, we make breaking the third physical shield as easy as possible. So let's get in without further ado, and I'll show you guys how the run goes, whether he can live up to our expectations here. I'm gonna do Kigiri, Wukong, followed by Nerissa, and Diao-chan. We're doing the placements in this manner because we need Finis on the top left hand side, which you'll see in a bit. So Finis will go down here, Knight Arlott, and then we just let this rip. There we go. And get the Wukong ultimate. Moradin's ultimate didn't make it in time, unfortunately. I hope it is still on time for the remaining bits though, so let's see. Go. Shield almost instantly popped there. And then now we just let the auto hits do the work. First real test will be when the first Meteoric Deluge comes. And now we'll let Sokadins and Lord Finis both rip. We'll go with Moradin to the side. Yeah, really nothing much to take note of here. Pop the heals. And we'll do Raiga's ultimate. And when Meteoric Deluge comes, we're gonna pop his ultimate. And we're gonna do Kigiri's. There we go. And then let's do Nerissa, followed by Soulcadence. See the big hit coming in, and then he's gonna pop off the rest. And we get that down. And now we switch back to physical phase again, so we'll bring Moradin right in over here. And when the promotion message comes out, we'll pop everything. So far so good. He survives without any issues, at least nothing that we can see now. So we're just gonna get through this physical phase quite easily. Now we're gonna get another shield. Go. And that shield breaks. I'm gonna switch Moradin over. And now we just wait. I think we will get another Kigiri ultimate here before the next phase starts. Okay. Now we pop another Soulcadence out. We're not going to do Finish this time around because we need to save it for the shield later on. And we can go with Aliens out here. I think we're about to go into another ultimate here. We'll just wait. I'm gonna pop Raiga's ultimate a bit later this time, just to make sure he survives. And we'll wait for the first meteor to almost land before we pop Kigiri's ultimate. Raiga dies, unfortunately. And then we'll pop the ultimate there. There we go. There we go. Barely break the shield there because we only have 2 magic units. But I think that is roughly what you'll expect from such a team. Now move Moradin back. And then we'll pop these 2 ultimates. Yeah, should be able to get through this phase fairly alright. Even though we don't have Raiga, I think we should still be fine. Let's see. Now we wait for the next set of ultimates. Kigiri out here. Do Soulcadence out as well. Not able to break through the shield here. I think we needed Raiga there. But I think you guys get the point. As far as tanking capabilities go, it does look like this team with Knight Arlott does go well together. He is able to soak up all the damage there without any problems. Because he gets unyielding for 5 seconds and the Meteoric Deluge lasts way shorter than that. So he has no issues in surviving that at all. Now, is this gonna be required? I hardly think so because we already have so many options for tanks, you know, for Abyss anyways, but it is just one of the few places that you can actually use him. He doesn't actually do any damage on his own. I think that's the issue that we have there. If he does do some decent damage, then maybe he will be a much better option, but if you compare with Raiga, this is a Raiga in a tank build, by the way. He works just as fine here, so I think, yeah, unless you have more Infernal units coming along the way that will synergize well with him, I don't really see how that will go hand in hand together. Like, it's not a must, but of course, if you have him, it'll be very nice because he survives the Meteoric Deluge very, very easily. So yeah, that's the Abyss Showcase. I just have him in an Unshaken Wheel build at A0. Obviously, if you have him at A1, it's going to help a ton in terms of damage output because he's just going to put out the vulnerability on magic damage for the whole fight. It also could mean that with this A1, then you wouldn't need Silkadins at A1 anymore. It could replace that. I think those are just a few things to take note of. But other than that, though, I don't really think you need his Awakenings for single target damage in boss content like this. Right, so that's Abyss done. Let's move on to other content where we try to see where he could wind up being helpful. So the next place we'll be looking at Night Arlott in is going to be Malrik Test, and originally I had intended to test him in the Baron Trials. So in the old Malrik maps, sometimes we have the modifiers where Baron will actually revive a horde of units and all of them have shields on them and it's pretty hard to clear. Now I thought that Night Arlott with his default 5 blocks and the extra 2 from his ultimate as well as stuns could do pretty well there. But unfortunately, I don't have that specific difficulty. In fact, I do not even have any level 4 of the old Malrik Trials. I only have this ones here. So what I'm going to do instead is to test it out in one of these Molten Trials, because there are some pretty disgusting modifiers like this ones where Argent Crusaders have 200% HP increase. This is near impossible to kill from the get-go. You either do control or have multiple DPS on that same lane to actually clear through these units. Now, I'm going to use Night Arlott in that position and see if the Soulbound Purgatory actually helps to clear out some of these tougher waves with the units that I previously used on my own account. I want to see if this unit there actually helps. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to head right into this trial, and this is the team that we're running. It is with A5 Anora and A5 Valara and A3 Nurcha, but even then, these trials are not as easy as they look. We're going to see if Night Arlott has any place here, whether he can keep up with his rage regen to block out wave 4, the waves from position 4 consistently. So let's get into it without further ado. Right, so how we're going to do this is we're going to do a Nora right over here. And we're going to do Beelzebub facing here. I want to place Demi down here later on so that she gets inspiration in the inspiration range as well. And then after that, we're going to do Nurcha, followed by Valara. And then we're going to do Risa, Iris. And now we can just wait for a bit there, see what we get next. Okay, now once this wave spawns out, we can go ahead to pop Beelzebub's ultimate. Now place Demi down here. Help out a fair bit. And then Catgrim's gonna be the last unit that we put down here. Okay, so we have 6 or 5 units spawning out here. Actually, it's 5. So it's perfectly in range for Beelzebub. Sorry, Night Arlott to block even without any, without any ultimate required actually. It's gonna clear through that just fine. And yeah, if let's say we don't even have Demi there, then we could just pop him to stall things out. Like right over now. Can pop the ultimate here with Anora. And we'll see what we do here. So yeah, I can see it's doing pretty fine. Okay, now that we have the next wave coming in, I'm going to pop the ultimates again. And see we're struggling slightly there. So once we have the ultimates on Demi and Beelzebub, we're going to pop it right again. There we go. That's just going to clear out things very quickly. this ultimate again.
My prayers will guide you. Even death has a rhythm.
I think we don't need to pop Demi's ultimate just yet. I think this can survive for a while on its own.
Some fates end.
Can do that next. Pop these two ultimates. And then once Beelzebub's ultimate is out, we're gonna pop Demi's ultimate to clear out these guys on the side.
My prayers
You can see here that the left wave is starting to get a lot stronger. So we are struggling a bit. These guys are gonna move off before we even get to do any damage to them actually. So we're gonna pop Knight Arlott's ultimate again.
we shall tarry no longer.
And let's pop Demi's ultimate too.
My prayers will guide you.
Stage crit upon dwarven steel.
And once that's done, I'm gonna pop these two ultimates.
Others are stayed.
Break upon dwarven steel.
My prayers will guide you.
And we'll go with Demi's ultimate again.
Break upon dwarven steel.
Some fates end. Others are stayed.
Go.
Break upon dwarven steel.
This is almost the last wave here.
No longer. My prayers will guide you.
Break upon dwarven steel.
So it looks like he is able to survive through the whole thing. I think what's impressive here is that he actually manages to survive with just Beelzebub's heals. Normally if you put something like Vlad Dracula here, it will not work out as well. You will wind up with the tank or rather Vlad Dracula dying. But in this case it seems like they are able to survive even without that.
Prayers will guide you.
And we have this almost down here. Pop his ultimate again. Get some heals. And it looks like we're doing just fine there.
Will guide you.
Now, you're not gonna expect to see any damage coming out from Knight Arlott here. The damage boost that he gives, I think, is quite discreet in the sense that he's actually making Anora do more damage. Whenever she does AoE damage, the unit with the highest HP here will take more damage as a result. So I think that's what's happening, which you can't really see from the damage charts. Obviously, it's going to be the other units that are doing more damage in the process instead. I think these guys are getting very strong because they have almost maxed out defense, if I had to guess. So yeah, the only way to burn through them is to actually, yeah, clear them through. Magic damage or pure damage, but for some reason it's just not doing that much there. Okay, I'm just gonna quit here because there's no point. But yeah, you guys get the point. I think when it comes to just Beelzebub and him alone there, it seems like he can self-sustain pretty well. In fact, it might be a case where we can actually run him without like a really dedicated healer. It could be the case that we can run him, for example, in the Malrik maps here. We can actually run Beelzebub facing forward here, a tank here, and then maybe another unit on the back, and he should still be able to survive, at least from the looks of it here. The PD here is that I wasn't able to test him out in a Malrik's map that had Baron. I think that would be the best place to actually see how he fares. I mean, we could also see this version where, you know, the Abyss Beholders get 200% HP, and whether he does well there. So maybe let's pop right in and see if he can actually keep those units that are alive long enough. Okay, so we're gonna do same deal here.
Arise, my hero.
And we have this guy's on the side. We're gonna do Nurture, Valara,
Let's make it
these guys.
They will fall
And after this, we'll do Earless.
Let me be your shield.
So these guys, it seems like they're not as tanky as the Argent Crusaders, but they do spawn in 6 sets. So it looks like they're gonna move before we can do anything. I think where Knight Arlott will come in very handy is there is also a modifier where the Abyss Beholders don't have an idle state. So in those cases, I think then she might be even more effective there.
The rhythm of
So
battle.
you get these guys moving in. I think there's 6 of them, so we'll need to proc the ultimate there.
Some fates end, others are stayed.
We'll do that. Get the ultimate off.
We shall tarry no longer. My prayers
Yeah.
will guide you.
Should be able to deal with that just fine.
Break upon dwarven
And Baron Salem is magic damage immune, but he is still able to survive through that.
My prayers.
You can see the stuns coming in handy here again.
dwarven
Pop the ultimate there. And we can do another round of ultimates. These guys here.
My prayers will guide you.
break upon dwarven steel.
Now, if you do have him at A1, I think the magic vulnerability will come in handy here again. But you do have to bear in mind that a lot of these units nowadays have some debuffs inbuilt in their kit as well. So it might not be as good as what I make it out to be, especially when you have other units dealing out the same debuffs there.
Congratulations.
Alright, so that's done. Now we pop the ultimates again here.
My
And then we just wait.
guide you.
This guy's to come in.
My prayers will guide you.
Pop Nurture's ultimate, as well as these 2 guys.
No longer.
Break upon dwarven steel.
Pop the ultimate, so none of these guys can get through. And yeah, you can see these waves are not as tough.
Others are stayed.
Break upon dwarven steel.
He better put up a good fight.
Another set of units coming in, but these guys are gonna die before they get there.
Dwarven steel. We shall render flesh from bone.
My prayers will guide you.
They're coming in again, so I'm gonna pop Knight Arlott's ultimate.
My
And we just wait for the next wave of guys to come in.
others are stayed.
Break upon dwarven steel.
And I think that's pretty much the last wave.
Will guide you.
Looks like he's gonna die here.
Break upon dwarven
Pop the ultimate there.
Shall tarry no
Yielding some heals on him.
My prayers will guide
He does die eventually, but yeah.
break
I think this is like the later waves where we did not ultimate in. So yeah, I think it's decent for Malrik's, but it does definitely look like in the later waves he might not be able to survive through the whole thing, especially if you don't kill units in time. I think how we were actually able to survive before that was that a combination of stunts and also sometimes killing the units before they even move off. But it does look like he has some potential here. What I would really have wanted to test is how he fares against those Baron Trials, but unfortunately I don't have those. So this is what we landed with here. Alright, now let's move on to the last bit of content, which is going to be GVG. Alright, so the last place that we're going to test out Knight Arlott is going to be in GVG. And I think it's a worthwhile thing to do because after all, this is quite a rare unit. We don't have that many cultist tanks. I think the last one we got that was decent was Malvera. And then now we have Knight Arlott, who is also Infernal, but we don't really have any meta Infernal teams in GVG at the moment. So this is what we're going to test with. I think this is one of the more standard teams. Maybe use Catgrim in place of Knight Arlott instead. So let's see if Knight Arlott can do any good here. And yeah, let's get started without further ado. Alright, so we're gonna do the usual bait out to get Count Dracula's ultimate out first before we deploy the rest of the units in. I think that's pretty standard as far as attacks go. So we're gonna wait for the unit to reach about this mark before we bring down the next guys. And this is also the new GVG map in case you're wondering for the next season. Put in this guys. There we go. Some stuns here from Verlis. The ultimate is not yet up, and whoops, there you go. You just saw Knight Arlott got one-shotted there in an instant. I mean, if this was any other team and you didn't have Grotesque Fiend for some reason, then maybe the team could work, you know. Because at the end of the day, Knight Arlott does provide quite a big boost in terms of damage. Because you do get that damage sharing thing going on. But as far as it comes to, you know, surviving through brute force tactics, I don't think he's cut up for it. And this is very obvious, especially when you think about the fact that, you know, Knight Arlott actually doesn't have any defensive capabilities. So this is the set that we're using on him. It is Unshaken Will. We have 300% HP on him here. And the thing about him is that there's nothing in his kit that screams survivability. He has some controls here, stuns, he has some HP restoration, but nothing to actually build out his defense. He does have unyielding for 5 seconds when he does his ultimate, but his rage cap is pretty high, so he's not going to get that up in time. As you can see in that test that we just did, we literally just had to bait out his ultimate, send the Grotesque Fiend in, and there you go, one tap and he's gone. There's just no survivability in his kit at all. And if we take a look at Awakenings, it's pretty much the same deal. We get some HP here, some damage reduction, but other than that, we don't actually get any, you know, survivability there. There is a level 9 Grotesque Fiend with a A5 Eova at 130k BP affiliation. So it is pretty high, but I think if you're looking at Kraken standards for the top guilds, I think this is something pretty normal to, you know, be achieving with your Eovas. So yeah, that's Knight Arlott in GVG. There is really nothing much else to say about that. I mean, I could showcase him in other team comps where you use Glacius and all that, then obviously he's gonna be quite a handful in terms of dealing damage to deal with those units. We can take a look at that if, let's say, we deploy like Glacius rotation instead to see how that goes. But all in all, what I'm trying to say here is that this guy is not standing up to Grotesque Fiend at all. He's just gonna crumble very easily there. So we're gonna mix in Glacius here along with these guys, and then we're also gonna do maybe the... I'm not very familiar with Glacius, so I hope I don't butcher this. Maybe we'll do healers here, I guess. Where's the healer? So I don't think we need double wolves with the ice wolves in them. Where's my healer? It is an epic, so it should show up here. Okay, there we go. So we're gonna do quick affiliate first, but I'm gonna switch the golem to be the highest BP. There we go. We're just gonna upgrade him to level 9 to put him on par with what we had, you know, with the other unit earlier. And after this, yeah, the rest of the units, that's fine. And let's just bring him into battle and we'll see how he goes. Right. So I think with this team, we should be able to shred through all of this pretty easily because we have Count Dracula, who's immune to, you know, or rather, there's no basic attack dealt. So I don't know if the Frost Golems actually work on him or not. This will be my first time seeing it, because I've not been playing GVG as much as I did last time.
Fetch them, my lovelies.
Put another Frost Golem at the back there. Do the healers out here. Yeah, it doesn't look like he get affected by the thing at all. After this, we're going to bring out Glacius along with another set of healers.
My prayers will guide you.
Doesn't look like things are getting through. I mean, my deployment could be off here. Maybe that's why it's not working. Could do the double wolves at the back.
Fetch them, my lovelies.
Doesn't look like Glacius is coming through. Also have the Count Dracula coming in here. Yeah. I mean, anything else that doesn't do like burst damage, I think this team could do fine. But then again, Grim does just fine in this particular setup as well. So I don't really see Knight Arlott in GVG. I could be wrong, but at least from this testing that I've seen so far, it doesn't look like he's gonna be meta in GVG at this. So yeah, let's move on to the next bit. Alright, so that's Knight Arlott for you. We've run 3 different tests. We've seen him in Abyss, where he works really well as a tank. We've seen him in Malrik as well, where he does really well there too. Although I'll say that right now there are many tanks as an option for Abyss. But in Malrik, I think he does add quite a bit of value in terms of the extra damage that he provides with Condemnation. Now, the last thing, GVG, I think that's where you start to see Knight Arlott isn't really a tank that's built up to tank. I think he's more like a hybrid, you know, with high block and also a lot of damage boost for his teammates, especially at the A1, because he just straight up gives vulnerability to enemies within Soulbound Purgatory. I think that's great. Other than that though, the rest of his awakenings, I don't think there are things that you really need to go after for, because he's not going to be super meta in any of the content out there. But it is nice to see a tank with a unique mechanic out here. And I think with that in mind, I do like him. I think he'll be very good in PvE content. And I think in like the Neutrals, the Hellfire Codex as well, is somewhere that he'll work really well in, because he has self-sustain in his kit. He also has high block, and he also has stun in his kit. All of those are, you know, characteristics that will do really well in Hellfire Codex. I mean, he's just pretty much similar to what Captain Rift is in Hellfire Codex. But when it comes to GVG, for sure, you're not going to see him there. I don't think you'll see him in AoE Arena as well. I don't think that's going to work out as well. But yeah, I think Malrik and Abyss is really where you see him, or any future content where, you know, we see such a tank that's required. But yeah, that's Knight Arlott's showcase. There's really nothing much that I wanted to add on here. I think he's a great unit, even at E0. I think that's pretty much all you need him to be at, if let's say you're using him for Malrik or Abyss. But for Abyss, there's really so much options out there, so I'm not really sure where he stands. But I do really like the unit's design as well. I think it's a really cool looking tank compared to all the dwarves that we've got. Like Catgrim looks so much better than Brokir, for instance. And Knight Arlott is also another one of those tanks that's really well designed in terms of appearance. And the kit is really interesting as well, but he just lacks survivability to be able to do well in GVG. But when it comes to control or, you know, high block, he can definitely come in very handy there. So that's gonna be it for the video. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about Knight Arlott or things that I could have otherwise better tested him with, please feel free to let me know down in the comment section below. I'll do those and then let you know, in a follow-up video if let's say there's enough comments to let me know what needs to be done. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like or subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.